Elon Musk recently tweeted that Tesla will open their supercharging network up to all other EV makers. I think this is a mistake, and in this video, I'll explain why. Make sure to listen to the end to hear my full reasoning, and if you agree or disagree with me, I would also love to hear it in the comments down below or on Twitter. I'm always open to changing my mind. So here we go. Why I think it is a mistake. Number one is because it's not a customer-centric move. Long term, to have the most success possible, it's best to align operations with the customer's interests as much as you possibly can. People who bought a Tesla yesterday or are planning on buying a Tesla vehicle tomorrow want the best supercharging experience possible. That includes waiting as little time as possible for a supercharger. Opening the superchargers up to other EVs will make wait times longer as busy stations as now other EVs will be utilizing them as well. Of course, the rebuttal that people might make to this is that they'll say, oh, okay, Tesla will actually use the added revenue from more vehicle charging to build more stations faster. But I don't really buy that rebuttal because cash is not the issue to Tesla deploying more stations. They have something around $17 billion in cash on hand, and generating more revenue from other EVs in that stream, just from supercharging the EVs, is not necessarily going to deploy stations faster because I don't think it's actually a cash problem. So number one, I don't think it's a customer-centric move for actual Tesla customers today, yesterday, and tomorrow, because it has the potential to make congestion at busy stations slower, thus making the Tesla ownership ecosystem worse. Okay, number two on why I think this is a mistake is because it eliminates Tesla's supercharging moat. In certain markets like North America, Tesla has a very strong moat with supercharging. Any market like this can go two ways. One way it goes is there's one leader moves fast enough and aggressively enough that they become the only leader, in which case that leader can dictate and control the market. Tesla is kind of in that position when it comes to EV supercharging, at least in some markets like North America. The other option, though, is that no one moves fast enough and there is no clear leader, in which case cooperation and standardization help everybody. Let's look at two examples that went two different ways. Number one is email. If you think about email, it's standardized and functions well across different email providers and platforms. There's no one clear winner in the email space, but imagine that maybe in the early days of email, one email provider had shot way out ahead and taken a large chunk of the email market potential that was out there. And the people that did have email, they all kind of had this one email provider. And then say that email provider had only allowed emails to be sent back and forth between users under its own domain. It would mean anyone signing up for that email for the first time would probably select that dominant provider, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to email all the people they know who already use the dominant network. It could have been a very powerful network effect had there been one clear leader who had really dominated the space and dictated terms. Another example, but of course that didn't happen, so now there's just tons of emails that all just work together. That's fine. Another example, though, is that went the dominant route is Facebook. So Facebook has extremely powerful network effects, and as Facebook was growing, at some point they reached a tipping point where anyone wanting to join a social media network really only had Facebook to choose from, because all their family and friends were already on Facebook and already using Facebook. So using a competitor's social network wasn't an option. And any of those sort of competitors, even if they tried to challenge Facebook at doing what Facebook does, ultimately failed in that mission. So that was an example of the dominant sort of route, and that Facebook really dictating terms to the market. And still, they own that dominance around that Facebook, at least that type of social media network. The same thing is or could happen in the EV charging space. It could really go one of two ways, especially in each geographic market, because it's not like an app like Facebook or a website like Facebook, but it's actually dependent. It's a real infrastructural thing that we're building. So it could go either way, and especially in certain markets where long distance road trips and supercharging are important, such as North America, this battle really could go either direction. You see, Tesla continues to dominate EV sales in these markets, and this dominance is partly because any new customer has to consider, do I want the largest, the fastest, the most reliable, and ever expanding charging network? Or do I not want that for my vehicle? I think this is a powerful moat that will sway most EV buyers in these markets to pick Tesla. If this was 5 years ago, say, then sure, Tesla would be wise to open their charging network up to EV makers just to get the market going and get the inertia going. But since it's already clear that EVs are the future, and Tesla has this huge advantage of already having been the first mover, and having that inertia behind them, why give this advantage up if you're a Tesla owner? And the third reason why I think it's a mistake is because it doesn't help the mission. I tweeted this out yesterday, and I said I think it's mainly a move for the mission. I think that's kind of what the main push or rationale behind this move is. But arguably, the best good Tesla can do for the mission is to serve its customers in the best way possible. If they do that, they can make the most compelling EV ecosystem possible, which will drive the most change possible. Change meaning change towards their mission. And by that I meant, if you want to help the mission, all you need to do is convince gas drivers to switch to an EV. And if you want to convince gas drivers to switch to an EV, you simply need to make the best EV ecosystem possible. Tesla is already doing that, and they are having no problem convincing people to switch. So if they open up the network to others, it diminishes this ecosystem and makes a switch, in my mind, the switch to an EV less compelling. It's maybe just slightly less compelling. It's not a huge difference, but I would say it's less compelling. Anyways, those are my quick thoughts on why I think this is a mistake. Again, I'm happy to hear your thoughts, and so let me know them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, and remember, it's in the bag.